even though we didn't take Iron Bull with us on our dragon fight, we still get this little cutscene where he acts as if he went along. I guess he was there in spirit, if nothing else. I'll just look at it like that. But yeah, he really, really digs dragons. He really does. It's almost a natural.
Inquisitor, come have a drink. To killing a high dragon like warriors of legend. I know, right? Put some chest on your chest. That little gurgle right before it spat fire. And that roar. What I wouldn't give to roar like that. The way the ground shook when it landed. The smell of the fires burning. Tarsidathan Halsam. You know, Kunari hold dragons sacred. Well, as much as we hold anything sacred. Here, your turn. Yes, the second cup's easier. Most of the nerves in your throat are dead after the first one. Atashi, the glorious ones. That's our word for them. Atashi.
Why do you think the Gunari think of dragons that way?
Well, you know how we have horns. We kind of look more dragony than most people. Maybe it's that. But a few of the Ben Hasrath have this crazy old theory. See, the Tamasrans control who we mate with. They breed us for jobs like you'd breed dogs or horses. What if they mixed in some dragon a long time ago? Maybe drinking the blood, maybe magic, I don't know. But something in that dragon we killed spoke to me.
It's a shame we had to kill the dragon.
Damn good fight. Dragons are the embodiment of raw power. But it's all uncontrolled. Savage. So, they need to be destroyed. Taming the wild. Order out of chaos. Have another drink. Nice. To dragons.
To finding the biggest, baddest things in the world and showing them that we're badder.
Anan.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever you just said. Yeah, that. Yeah, these are the types of things that just make these games freaking amazing. Anyway, fast forward to the war table. I won't suffer you guys through all the exploring I do around Skyhold unless I find something really interesting or whatever. A lot of times it's just going around. I'm trying to catch these little hints. You'll hear people talking about strange things happening, and then you can go to Cole, and once you've collected all the rumors, I guess you could say, you can go back and talk to him about it, and he'll explain to you why he's doing what he's doing. You know, like, why would you leave peeled plums on a windowsill that attract spiders or whatever? Well, spiders bring webs, and then the webs help the healers heal wounds and stuff, and you realize that there's a method to his, what would apparently be really strange behavior, and it's all for the good. And anyway, if you're patient with him, you get a reward. He gets a really cool hat, an upgraded hat, and he gets an amulet of power. Or at least that's what I found the first time. I don't know what I'll get this time. I mean, I'm assuming that's kind of a set reward, but anyway, we'll see. So I've been running around looking for that, but it's mainly just me roaming around the walls and looking around and admiring the view and stuff like that, and talking to people when I can, and not really learning much new or anything, but it's fun. It's cool. Nothing I would suffer you guys with, though. Anyway, so whatever missions I've sent people out on, some of these can only be done by one particular of our inner circle here. Like, you know, only Colin can do one thing, and maybe only Josephine can do another, that type of stuff. I'm trying to send them out. I need to get... some of the favors that we do for our party members can only be activated here at the table. Like, I think I need to send some soldiers to town to make a show for Sarah, and then that leads to something else that you can pick at the war table for Sarah, and so on and so forth. And, you know... it's kind of necessary if you want to, like, romance that particular character or whatever. Or become real good friends. You gain major approval by doing their particular companion quests. Anyway, just, you know, common sense, but trying to get some of those underway also. Lots of different things to choose from. Yeah, see, that's the one for Sarah, and of course I've already sent Colin out to do... Oh, well, that's fine. We'll just go off and do something. Waste a little time. By the time we come back, everything should be refreshed here. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's a new mount. Like a little dragon-type mount. Very cool. Okay, not something I might not necessarily ever use, but I want it. Just because. Actually, I believe I could have gotten that that Draculask quite a while ago. Something else you need to do first, or something. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Like I say, it's nothing I'm in a rush to have. I don't usually ever use a mount anyway. I do everything on foot. I was the same in Skyrim also. Very rarely did I ever use my horse. Maybe to get up a particular mountain that I couldn't get up on foot. That was about it. But, when you get on your mount and you run around, you miss things. Loot and stuff like that, and screw that. I'd rather take a little longer and get all my stuff. Alright, so taking a look at my tree here. These passives are amazing. Now with this build, for those of you who are really a big fan of Dragon Rage, which is that skill down at the bottom, I'm probably not even going to be using that in this build. This is going to be essentially a Berserker build. I might use Devour. I might have that. I don't know. Don't know if I'll even assign a key to that. That's just, it's like a quick heal, and it does some damage. I guess if there's a critical chance on it, and it could count as a particular, you know, upgraded or buffed attack, that'd be one thing. But overall, I'm looking for the ability to put out constant, steady damage. And I want all my other factors to come into play when I'm fighting. Such as, let's go ahead and do Cassandra's little favor.
The Ferelden army has chosen to stay clear, for now.
Got, she asked us to go deal with some rebel mages and Templars and stuff like that that are still wandering around annoying people, so we'll go deal with them. Probably just a few maps have key areas where these guys will be, and you just go kill them for her, and she's happy about it. That type of thing. I don't know what this leads to. I haven't gotten that far in her companion quest, but I do know that one of those sets of enemies is right here. But anyway, essentially what I want to do is I want to put out steady damage, and so, like, you know, the whole thing behind the Berserker Reaver thing is you have stamina and you have your health as an issue. The less health you have, the more damage you can put out, okay? And of course, the larger your stamina pool, the more you can essentially attack. Now, the thing with Dragon Fury is it doesn't really cost stamina, but it doesn't bring you back stamina either. And with Ring of Pain, which is kind of necessary to keep active, it kind of buffs.
Thank you for bringing us here.
That was easy. It kind of buffs Dragon Fury and Devour. Okay, but it costs 10 stamina a second, and there's a way to, I think there's a way to buff that. Now, this is just theory. I haven't put it into practice. May experiment with it once we get to about level 20 and I have some real points to spend. But not going to mess with it much at level 15 because I won't have the points really to get down there anyway without sacrificing a bunch of other stuff. Okay? But the passives on the Reaver tree and then the Rampage or Berserk ability itself plays in well to how I built my character already. Okay, we get bonus damage already for knocking down enemies and attacking enemies while they're down and attacking stunned enemies and knocking enemies on their ass and basically just keeping the enemy hordes off balance to where we can capitalize on their weakness and do a lot of extra damage. I mean, lots of extra damage, okay, between all the passives and all the different buffs between, say, Cassandra and myself. Not counting their specialist trees, which are just going to buff that even farther. Okay, Cassandra has some amazing abilities. She's even got her own little version of Ring of Pain, I guess, where she basically lays down a circle and you kick more ass while you're in that circle type thing. Stack that on top of everything else, and then you start throwing in the Reaver passives, like doing 5% extra damage for every 10% of missing health. Well, the way I'm thinking, and my theory, the way I want to make this build, is keep all my other buffs, which I think are going to give me a higher overall steady damage output than the short spike damage output you get from Dragon Rage, where then you have to constantly play that game back and forth between spending health and getting health back. Okay? What I'm going to choose to do is be able to keep my guard up and still rely on my mages to throw a barrier, because especially playing on Nightmare, I'm going to be taking damage regardless. Okay? And so I can assume that constant passive buff of doing extra damage based on missing health is going to be active most of the time. Now, I can be a little bit braver, I guess you could say, about getting into the midst of it, so I can take some damage and stuff like that, but I still will be willing to take guard, all right? So block and slash is still good. Warcry and or challenge is still good. Challenge will come into play when the upgrade for challenge, it actually causes you to regenerate stamina much faster for a short period of time. And then you have deep reserves, okay, which once your stamina gets below 50%, it regenerates a lot faster. Well, if you stack those two, like for example, deep reserves is a passive, okay, and then the challenge is of course an activated ability, but it lasts for, I don't know, 10, 12, 14 seconds, whatever. Okay, and so if I have Ring of Pain, if I hit an enemy with challenge and I buff my stamina regen and then I throw on Ring of Pain, will it mitigate some of that stamina loss, especially when I get down to the 50% range? Okay, that's kind of my question. So I'll experiment with that later. There's something for you guys maybe to consider if you're already there with your character and you're already invested in the Reaver tree, is try going to deep reserves and then taking the challenge upgrade. Sure, challenge gives you some temporary guard, but don't worry about it. You're going to take damage anyway. Okay, you can, on Nightmare, you can have a full quarter or half bar of guard and lose that in one hit. Okay, so it's not like the guard is going to prevent you from taking damage where you lose your damage buff. That's BS. That's not going to happen. Okay. So something to think about, how to mitigate that stamina loss. Where the concern is for me is if I have this heavy stamina loss, what that takes out of my game, what that takes, it's kind of like if I was a basketball player, you're taking away my dribble and my dunk. In terms of, I like being able to roll and throw grappling chain and block and slash, right? And defend myself and stay in the midst of it and stay alive type of thing, okay? With Ring of Pain and Dragon Rage going, there's no stamina regen. You basically spend your stamina, try to get your health back, and then wait for everything to cool down, and then spend your stamina again. And it's kind of wash, rinse, and repeat. And it's pretty narrow, okay? It's kind of constricted, that fighting style, and it takes away a lot of the things, because if my stamina is going down at 10 stamina a second, then when I need to roll, and when I need to block, and when I need to use something like Mighty Blow or something like that, I'm not going to have the stamina for it. So what that kind of does, it seems to me, is it kind of constricts me to essentially just really rely on Dragon Rage and Devour, and that's it. Get in there and try not to die before you can get your health back type of thing. And I'm like, I like my fighting style the way it is, and I like the damage output I'm getting already, and I'm thinking with the passive buffs that it can just get better. Of course, the one where you get more extra damage when you're missing health, and then the other passive buffs where your attack rate, your attack speed goes up when an enemy gets to a certain level of health around you, which should be pretty much at all times. Especially when you're in there fighting mobs, there's going to be an enemy somewhere that's low on health. Well, you get this speed buff for a particular period of time, and the more damage you're doing, okay, the more focus you're building to where you can activate your Berserker ability. And so I've basically got it mapped out. When I play RPGs, I like to kind of map out at least a general blueprint of my build ahead of time. And so if I have equipment that basically accomplishes these things, and I think it's really cool how equipment is almost as important to your overall build effectiveness as the abilities and skills that you pick, right? Let's say my weapon, I invest in, okay, nothing but strength and constitution. Okay, it's not extra damage for every missing health point you have, it's extra damage for the percentage of health you're missing. So if I have, say, a 2,000 hit point pool instead of 1,000, if I'm missing half of that 2,000 hit point pool, I'm still going to get, say, my 25% damage bonus from that passive in the Reaver tree, but I'm going to have a lot more hit points still left to work with, so I don't get one-shotted by everything once I get down to the health point where I actually am getting enough extra damage to make it worthwhile. Does that make sense? Okay, so like, I want to be missing a certain amount of health, but I'd like to still have enough hit points left where everything doesn't one-shot me. I would like to have some survivability, so I can stay in the middle of it and not have to run and flee for my life and try to heal up and let things cool down and this and that and worry about my stamina and stuff. I like kind of a no-pause, get in there and just rage, you know? Okay, so I'm thinking if I have a good amount of extra constitution and strength built into my weapon, and then in my weapon upgrades, like, say, my hilt, my pommel, okay, whatever, my haft, if I'm using an axe or a hammer, whatever the case may be, then I'm going to want to, if in any way, shape, or form that I can, increase my critical chance. And what that means is, the more critical chance I have, the more damage I'm putting out, obviously, right? But I want to be able to essentially be able to crit all the time, all right, or at least as much as possible. I mean, that's just kind of goes without saying. Okay, that's a twofold thing. Not only, obviously, you kill enemies faster, okay, doing more damage, but also you're going to add to your focus pool just that much faster. It's much better to hit for 2,000 than it is for 200, you know what I'm saying? So, with my weapon, have some nice strength and constitution buff, and have some critical chance and critical damage, hopefully both. The higher tier items that you use to craft with ought to give you more than just one particular kind of buff. Okay, so I'll see what we have to work with when we get into our masterwork gear and stuff. There's one advantage to Berserker is you can make weapons where you do 10% extra damage, but you take 100% extra damage. And I guess if you get to the point where your armor rating and your defenses are high enough to where even with 100% extra damage you still have some survivability, then that extra 10% damage might be worth it. And this isn't something like Dragon Age where you actually take damage per attack. This is something where enemies just do more damage to you, so your health goes down faster. If you have a really large health pool and really good armor rating where, okay, say they normally hit you for 200, if your armor's high enough, they're still only hitting you for 200 with that extra 100% damage debuff that you've got from your gear, then that extra 10% damage might actually be worth it. I would have to see at higher levels. Right now, I would think that would keep my survivability low. I would have to keep track of that a little too much. Have to micromanage that a bit too much, I think, to make that equipment work. But there is another upgrade you can put on a weapon when you're crafting it, and it's you do extra damage for every additional enemy that's within a certain range of you, like 3 meters or 6 meters or 8 meters or whatever. Okay, now that sounds really good to me. In fact, that's something you get on the Gift of the Mountain Father axe that the boss in the Fallow Mire gives you. It's got that added bonus, and that's something you can do with Masterwork. With fade-touched materials, I forget which material you need, but one of them will give you that option to include that in your Masterwork. I see a lot of people Masterworking, they just do critical Masterwork, which means they get a percent chance using certain items to add 10% to all the stats on your weapon. And I mean, that's cool, but personally, I think the one where you get more damage based on the number of enemies around you, if you're going to be in the midst of it, especially swinging a big two-handed weapon, hitting multiple enemies at once, then that sounds ideal. At least right offhand, without actually, putting it into practice. I think I will lean towards something like that. And then, of course, my upgrades, raising my critical chance, because when you can hit critical, you're going to get a damage buff that far exceeds anything else you can do with any ability or anything else. Criticals are like, the ultimate. Okay, so keeping that in mind for my weapon. And then armor, once again, strengthening buffing up my strength and my constitution. Okay, and so letting all that play into my build, where if I have a huge health pool, then I have a lot more hit points to work with, and I can suffer that health loss to get my damage up without getting one-shotted by everybody. Okay, and then as far as equipment goes, anything that buffs the abilities I'm going to be using a lot, like say Mighty Blow and Block and Slash, would be key. Okay, or Mighty Blow and perhaps Rampage, which is like your Berserker ability. That would be a good option too if I'm going to start using Rampage a lot. I just picked up a belt from fighting the Ferelden Frostback Dragon, and it gives me 30% extra focus gain. Okay, and I believe that's from all sources in the party, so your focus builds up 30% faster. Well, if I'm going to call this a Berserker build, and that's essentially what I want to do. I want to raise my attack speed, and I want to raise my damage output, and I want to get madder the more that I'm hurt, okay? And so that all plays in, so I'm not really going pure Reaver. I'm going to leave Dragon Rage kind of out of it, and I'm going to rely on the specialist ability and the passives in the Reaver tree. And I'm going to let that work in synergy with everything else my character and my party is doing. Okay, so that's my strategy. That's how I'm going to build this, and we'll see how it works. Between level 15 and 20, I think we'll see this really blossom and really come into its own. And I think the overall damage output will be higher than what I would get with Dragon Rage, even considering the upgrades to the various abilities in the Reaver tree that allow you to, you know, higher critical chance when you use this on your next attack using that, and so on and so forth. That balance, that management of give and take with your health and stuff like that, for a little extra damage bonus. I'd rather have maybe a little smaller damage bonus, but where that buff is, it applies all the time. In other words, I'd rather hit for an extra 50 points 100 times than an extra 1,000 points 2 or 3 times. If that makes sense. Okay, so I want a steady, constant stream of damage. And I don't want to deviate too much from my playstyle right here, because I really like being able to roll and block and slash. It makes the combat fun. And, I don't know, I mean, it just fits my playstyle. But, we're really just going to have to field test it to see if all this plays out. But if my theory is right, if what I'm thinking is right, I think this will be more effective than a pure Reaver build anyway, and a little bit easier to manage, and maybe even more fun to play. I mean, sure enough, the big dragon claws you get when you're doing the Dragon Rage, it's funny for a minute, but the novelty kind of wears off, and it's like, you know, I think I can be dishing out a steady stream of pain with like Mighty Blow and stuff like that, and those are things which realistically I'm not going to have the stamina to use like I want to, simply because Ring of Pain, which is what sets up your Dragon Rage and your Devour, is sucking up your stamina so fast. Okay? So that's my thinking. So I'm thinking stamina, and even then I still may go pick some passives and stuff that buff my stamina also. I may even take a look at using a challenge instead of Warcry. Although Warcry, it aggroes groups of enemies. I mean, it's kind of hard to ditch that. But challenge definitely does that stamina regen buff that it gives you. That's definitely worth it. I mean, that is something to consider. So I don't know. That's a mixed bag. I'm kind of limited in the assigned key buttons. You know, I can only assign so many skills to my action keys. So need to keep that in mind too. It'd be nice to have 15 abilities active, but I can only use like 8 of them. So kind of need to pick and choose, pick a playstyle, and stick with it.
Nothing to report, sir.
Alright, so that took care of the DarkSpawn mission, whatever. I don't know what that opens up later. But essentially just meant closing a few portals that the DarkSpawn were creeping into the Storm Coast through. Okay, now at the requisition table, I made my garden. It required all kinds of different herbs, like 30 blood roots or blood lotuses and all this other stuff. Okay, and now I get a choice. You know, I can go for, I think, aesthetics on the left, and then utility on the right is what this basically comes down to. I mean, you see it says utility and comfort, so I don't know if that means picking more herbs in your actual garden, or if that means picking more herbs when you're out and about. which honestly would probably be the better option, but I think I'm going to go for the aesthetics, just for the looks of my castle. This is actually kind of a hard choice here. I'm assuming they'll give you this choice so you can customize your castle to fit your tastes in every way. I know you can change the banners and the tapestries and furniture and things like that as you find stuff and build stuff. Matter of fact, we can go to Val Royeaux right now, and I think there's like a whole extra dozen merchants there that sell just everything. From fabrics and draperies and beds to, you name it. Different crafting materials, stuff like that. Anyway, this unlocked another codex. Cool. I don't know if that counts as a song. Alright, free XP. So we're at level 13. So a couple more levels. We'll do some more stuff, and then we can do a recap on the level, and we'll take a look at the whole party. Look at everybody's skills and how everything's working together, and hopefully this will make some kind of sense.
Honored to represent the College of Herbalists and offer my services as apothecary. My colleague Adan was clear about the worth of your cause. I look forward to assisting him.
I look forward to working with you.
And are you? I wasn't sure what to think of you people, but recent events have put those doubts to bed. All the mundane needs of Skyhold will be well tended. If you note anything special, let me know. I'm here to serve the cause we must.
It's interesting. All the people we saved during the In Your Heart Shall Burn portion of it, you know, all the citizens that we kept alive, they all got fired or all lost their jobs or quit or went on to do other things. Like Flissa, she went and joined the Chantry. She got converted. She found religion real quick. She saw the elder one or whatever his name is, and she said, "Screw that," and went and joined the Chantry. I'm sorry, that's kind of funny. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe, hit that button over my head for the rest of my videos. Click those boxes on the left. And on the next one, I don't know. We'll go find something to do. We'll go to a map area and actually do some questing. All right, y'all take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.